Why do router firmware updates sometimes fail? Imagine trying to update your router and suddenly it stops working or gets stuck. It can be frustrating, but there are real reasons behind these failures. Let's explore what causes firmware updates to sometimes not go as planned. First, a stable internet connection is key. Firmware updates are downloaded from the manufacturer's servers, so if your network connection drops or is slow, the download might get corrupted or incomplete. Wireless connections are more prone to interruptions than wired ones. That's why using an Ethernet cable during updates is often recommended. Power issues are another common problem. If your router loses power or experiences voltage fluctuations during the update, it can interrupt the process. Since firmware updates rewrite the router's internal software, losing power mid-update can corrupt the firmware. This might make the router unresponsive or unable to start up properly. To avoid this, some people use uninterruptible power supplies or UPS units to keep their routers powered during updates. Using the wrong firmware version can also cause failures. Manufacturers releases firmware tailored for specific router models and regions. Installing firmware meant for a different model or region can lead to incompatibility. Always double-check that the firmware matches your exact router model and regional version before updating. Procedural errors are another factor. Not following the manufacturer's instructions carefully can cause issues. For example, trying to update over a wireless connection when a wired connection is recommended, or skipping steps like resetting the router beforehand, can lead to failures. Some routers requiring a reset or specific button presses to enter recovery mode for the update to succeed. Corrupted or incomplete firmware files are a frequent culprit. If the firmware file is damaged during download or transfer, the update will fail. This can happen if the file is not fully downloaded or if the transfer protocol does not verify the file's integrity. Always download firmware from official sources and verify the file size matches the manufacturer's specifications. Hardware limitations or failures can also block updates. Older routers or those with failing memory chips may struggle to complete the process. If the hardware is faulty, the router might freeze or reboot unexpectedly during the update, preventing successful installation. Software bugs within the router's existing firmware or the update process itself can cause failures. Sometimes the update software has glitches that make the router get stuck in boot loops or prevent the new firmware from applying correctly. Keeping your current firmware up to date can help reduce these issues. In the world of physical network infrastructure, firmware controls how routers handle data routing, security, and bandwidth. If an update fails, it can weaken security or slow down your network. In environments like data centers or internet exchange points, failed updates can cause service disruptions. To improve your chances of a successful update, always use a wired connection, ensure your firmware matches your device, and keep your power supply steady. Follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully and back up your settings beforehand. Using official firmware files is essential to avoid corrupted or malicious files. In short, firmware update failures happen because of network issues, power problems, incompatible files, procedural mistakes, hardware faults, or bugs. Knowing these causes can help you troubleshoot and keep your network hardware running smoothly.